Hello, everybody. My name is Rex Plays Games, and I am here with my good friend Dark Lord Kenny.
Hi, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, he has multiple names nowadays, and so do I. But
Eh,
anyways, today we're starting a podcast series, um, and today it's going to be about why Riot should make a movie for episode one.
yeah, I mean, let's face the facts. They need they should.
They just should.
Yeah.
Well, see, they're really good at animating. All right, and so that's already like a number one. Like they can make a really good animated movie, and which is obviously why they're making an animated series, because if you made it live action, well then your movie's gonna go to dog shit. And I see, and I think that's one of the problems with like the WoW movie and stuff, is that they did it live action. I don't think people really liked it because it looked terrible. Like this
Well, see,
this
I agree with that. Like, they shouldn't. If they, I see. If I always thought like if they make a movie, don't make it live action. Make it like animated, but also like make sure that the league players or the league community in general, want to see this movie. Which that's why I think that they should just be like, hey, should you guys or not should like would you guys want to see this? I should do like a little poll thing, like, hey, would you guys like to see this? And if so, what would the storyline be, or what should we do for the movie?
yeah.
But I think that's what they're gonna do with the TV shows that they're doing.
Yeah, like, I've talked about this off camera, but I just think one of the things that they're doing with Arcane right now is they're trying to test the waters to see if people will actually, care about them making an animated movie or an animated series. And I think, and that's why I'm happy they're at least making an animated series, because it can go two ways. You can either go to a League movie, or they just constantly make League animated series. So, like either way, we still win, because at least we're getting something that's not just like 3 minute videos that are, even though those are 3 minute videos, they're still good as heck. Like if anybody who is listening to the podcast has watched any like cinematic, like any animated cinematic video or whatever from Riot Games, if you haven't, you should, because they are really good. And I've seen people react to this stuff who don't even play League, and they're just flipping out because it's so freaking good. Like you don't even have to play League to enjoy it, because the animation's so good, the story is just there whether you care about the game or not. And I just think that's why, if they made a movie, they'd be making money off of, both sides, League players and just random ass people.
Well, see, the thing is, it's like with WoW, I couldn't follow the story. I didn't know what was going on. But with League, I feel well. Okay. I feel like the people that did play WoW, they were like, okay, I understand who this is, and I understand, what's going on here. But with League, I feel like that they wouldn't have to explain what the shit's going on. I feel like people would just kind of gain, okay, this is what's going on. Like I feel like that's something like how the Marvel universe and DC, they can kind of get that point out where if you don't know these characters, or you don't know what is going on, watch the movie and you'll understand.
Yeah, I
Like
never actually.
if they did like what the Marvel series or the Marvel universe did for the Avengers, how it was like this whole big build up, and you had to watch all these different other movies and TV shows and shit like that to understand what was going on. And if I feel like League did that, everybody would be like, okay, I understand what's going on. Like I understand what the what's happening in the movie. Even if they didn't do the whole like watch this movie, then watch this TV show, but they just made a movie. I feel like people would still
Well,
understand.
well,
Okay, this is what's going on. I understand.
well, see, with Marvel, I think that's one thing that they're good at. They're good at making movies that connect, but you don't necessarily have to watch every single one. It's just people choose to. But they're also good just like separate movies if you were to just watch them separately. You know what I mean?
I mean,
But I guess just to get the full experience, you would want to watch all of them so that the whole story as a whole just made sense. But I feel like, you can go into them just watching them without any watching. But most of the time, people just choose to watch the other ones anyways. And, I think you should because they're all really good movies.
I honestly feel like, because we've talked about this, the whole movie thing, and then they have the comic books. But I said I would honestly prefer like a chapter book if they made something like that and they explained Demacia or something, or like Ionia, something like, I don't know, Piltover, one of those things.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that you'd want a book, but I don't
They
know.
could
I really don't know why they chose to make comic books. It's kind of weird, but I still think it's good. I've heard the comic books are really good, especially the newest one, the Ionia one, with like Zed, Shen, and Jin.
Yes,
I heard that
I
one
did.
was really good.
I I actually read that online. I fucking like that.
Well, see, and that's the other thing. Like they don't necessarily make it to where you have to go out and buy these. Eventually, they come out online, and that's it's always a good thing, But if like you want the physical version, just to support Riot more, you can
Well,
go out
see,
and buy that.
if they made a hard copy and refused to put it out on Audible or all these different reading apps, people would have to buy this book to understand.
Yeah, and I know in this day and age,
I,
not everybody likes to buy, physical things. Just
and
more.
obviously, people would eventually get the book and read it while making a video and post it to YouTube, so people don't have to buy the book. They can listen to someone else read it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I would honestly like to buy that book, read it for myself, and say, yes, I own this book. I bought this book, and this is the book I have been reading.
Well,
But
the
I mean,
the keep on interrupting each other.
yeah, this is true. But that's fine.
The shit was like okay. They released a new. It was technically a book, but it was not like a chapter book. It was just like it just kind of told you and showed you what goes on around like Runeterra, like the world. It was more like a world building type thing, but it wasn't necessarily a chapter book. But I guess there's that you had to take into consideration, I guess, a little bit. But if you're
Well,
talking about like for full blown stories, yeah, the only thing they've really done is comic books, and then they've done like short stories on like their website, whatever it's called, I forget. They have a website where there's all the lore, and I forget what it's called.
well, see, here's the thing. Okay, say they did make a movie. They've already worked with Marvel in the past with the comic.
I mean, yeah, this is true.
If you look, people, seriously, if you look at the back of the comics, it says Marvel. Like, they helped with the whole development thing. They helped can't even speak. They helped make all this shit. So I feel like it wouldn't be too hard since Marvel already knows, oh shit, we know Riot. We worked it with them in the past. We could give them some tips about some movies. And, honestly, they could probably come together and make a movie.
Oh yeah, I could see that, but
I mean, will they? Probably not. But
yeah, no. I think another thing that Riot is kind of scared about is just how much resources it's gonna take to make a full animated movie. I think that's another thing they've talked about is how that's gonna take so much resources, and yes, it will take a lot of resources, but especially if you make all of that money back, it's completely worth it. Like in the box office,
right.
If you make all that money back in the box office, it's already a success because you made it all back. But yeah, we all know it's going to take a lot of resources, and we all know that just the 3-minute videos and how polished those are already just takes a lot of resources. You went a little quiet. Are you okay there? Hello? You still with me?
What?
Are you good?
Yeah. Sorry, got a phone call to take care of it real quick.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, but where did we last leave off? We were talking about Marvel.
I was talking about just like financial, stuff like that, and I think that was another problem that they were having was just how much financial resources that would take.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah,
like you talked about it, and then like kind of like how I said, you were saying how if they did make a movie, it'd probably be after all this that Arcane or Arcade, whatever the hell you
oh,
said,
yeah,
series.
Arcane, yeah, the TV series
Yeah,
is coming out.
yeah, the whole TV series. But I mean, I feel like if they were to do that after that, it wouldn't be until what, three,
Yeah, it'd probably
4 years
take a lot of. It'd probably take like probably 3 years, something like that. And so we
to
wouldn't.
just this movie, and we're in 2020 right now, so it'd probably be around 2024, 2025 maybe. If this
Yeah,
movie ain't
yeah,
like
it would take a long time, and I think a lot of people know that. But if they came out and said that they were making a movie, I think people would understand why we're not getting anything else animated. And see, that's why I think they might just take the whole approach to doing animated series instead, is because yeah, sure, that's going to take a lot of resources too, but it's not going to take as much resources and time as it would take to just make a movie. And so you can
right,
please people more if you just made an animated series. And that's why I think they might just go that route too. They might just say screw a movie altogether and then just go into TV series instead, which, like I said, me personally, I still, that's still a win to me because that's at least something. Instead of these 3-minute videos, it's just a waste of talent at this point.
right. But you have to understand, like you have to think about. Okay, so say they make the TV series and people want more. Say they don't explain Demacia, and people want that, so they're going to complain. Then they're going to have to make either a they're going to have to add that onto that series that they have now, or they're going to have to make a whole new series.
Well, it's gonna be a whole new series. The one that they're working on right now is about,
Well, that's like the one they're working on now.
yeah,
They could
is like they
add
can't
the Monoxys, all that shit, or they could go and do different TV series. So it'd be like,
well, just knowing what Arcane is already, just the general gist of what it's already about, they'd have to make a whole new series. You can't just, it's not one of those types of things where you could add on. So it would mean
hey,
that they'd had to make a whole new series. They couldn't just make a season two. I mean, they could make a season two and continue the story that they're already working on, but they couldn't start something like Demacia or something like that.
right? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just feel like okay, okay. I just feel like they should just fucking a make the movie fail miserably. B just make the fucking movie and be successful. It could be one or two things. Me
That
personally, I feel like they're going to be very successful.
uh,
With just the way that they're going with their cinematic short videos and the way that they're talking about making a new TV series, I feel like they'd be successful, and I feel like that they should just take a stab in the dark and just be like, we're going for it, and if we lose, we lose, and that's what World of Warcraft did, and we know that they lost, but
yeah, we've seen a lot of video game movies, and they've tried taking shots in the dark, and they all
but
suck. But they've all sucked for a reason, though. It's not just because people don't like video game movies. It's because there's an actual reason why these movies suck, and I think that's one thing that Riot doesn't really realize is that there's more of a reason why these movies were not that good critically,
right,
and it's mostly just because they weren't that good to begin with, and them not being that good could be for numerous different reasons. There could have been like financial cuts and stuff like that. You don't know what all happens in the background sometimes, so there could be different reasons for why these movies didn't perform as good as they possibly could have.
right, and I mean, I I enjoy the game to an extent, I guess I
Yeah.
enjoy the game. I enjoy the lore. I love the lore. Like I
Oh yeah,
probably
no, I
love the lore more than I love the game itself.
yeah, I
I
really like the lore because
hey,
yeah.
to be honest, I think my favorite lore would probably be like either as cheesy as it sounds, probably Garen or probably just the whole Jin and Shen and Zed. Like I think those are probably one of my favorite pieces of lore to ever understand.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so they're already going into the right direction by saying, or not even by saying, by making a whole fucking lore and making a story behind all these champions and where they came from and what their back life was. Like,
I
they're
mean,
just making all this fucking cool shit, but yet here we are finally getting a TV series 10 years into the game.
yeah. Well, I mean,
I can understand, the first 6 to 7 years, the game being out.
I see, and I
They
think
don't,
they kind of waited a long time to finally start putting a lot of the stuff that probably should have been in development into development. I mean,
right.
I mean, you got to think, just because they did the 10-year like announcements for some of this stuff doesn't mean that that stuff was just going into production. Because if that was the truth, we wouldn't be getting Valorant already.
Right.
Valorant's definitely been in production for at least like 2 years, I think. And I think some of these other games have been in production for like over a year. So it was just that
I
they
mean,
just finally got announced. So
the thing with other games, okay, so say like World of Warcraft, like I said, they don't have a fucking storyline whatsoever. They can't make shit. Fortnite, they can't make shit. PUBG, they can't make shit. League, however, they can fucking be like, okay, look, we've made this whole storyline. Let's take some of that and put it into a movie or a TV show. And I think that's something that they actually can do
well,
and actually be successful at. With other games, no, they can't. Fortnite, they can't do shit.
yeah, Fortnite should just, as far as Fortnite goes, they just need to stick to their live events and crap. But because I also think that just kind of makes the game a little unique. It's one of those like only games that does their storytelling live. But anyways, off the topic of that, but other thing with Riot though is like they don't want to just take a story they already have and then make that a movie. They don't find that like original. They don't want to do that. They've already told the story. Why tell it again? And but there's no denying that ever since they actually started giving a shit about the lore, because you gotta remember before they didn't really care about the lore. They just kind of made something up and went with it. But
Well,
eventually,
even like I said,
like
I would love to see like I told you a whole storyline that I could think of off the top of my head with the whole Noxus and Demacia, just butting heads, and then Katarina and Garen finally realize, oh, they like each other. Then that brings Demacia and Noxus together, and they work together.
well, I mean,
They're not,
I'm not.
they're
I'm
not
not. I'm not.
good with
Trying,
each
I'm
other,
not trying to.
but
I'm not trying to bash on your idea, but let's be honest, they wouldn't do that. But I'm not trying to
no, I'm
bash
not
on your
saying they
idea. But
would.
you're
But
just giving an example. I get it. Yeah.
like that's an example of an idea that they could possibly do. But
Yeah.
them, they're not going to do it. They won't ever do that.
They have plenty of story ideas they could do.
But
And
see, the thing is, with if they were doing it around the lore, I feel like that's the road that they should go down, because it's kind of hard to do like Aurelian Soul or like Talon, Kayn, and Aatrox and all of them. It'd be difficult. Yes, they could do it. They could probably even do it with Jhin, Shen, and Zed.
yeah.
But I feel like the most popular story that possibly makes sense would be Demacia versus Noxus. That's just me. I feel like that would probably be the easiest thing to do if they were doing lore wise. If not, well, then I don't know what the fuck.
I'm sure they could come up with something. Maybe like.
It's up, it's up to the.
Well, see, here's the other thing that I forgot to take into account. They have that whole like indie game thing that they're doing, right? Like
I think
that you know that like that whole like indie game thing where they're
Yeah.
they're giving away the license for other companies to make games off of their
Yeah.
stuff. Well, you got to imagine that stuff's probably going to be lore based too. I mean, it may not be, but it has a chance to be lore based. And if that's lore based, well, that'd be cool, because it is another way to start telling the lore about some of this other stuff, while also being like a game, which I'm sure they'll probably iterate the lore into that stuff. So, but that's another thing I forgot to mention, was that that's coming at some point.
I just hope it comes soon, to be honest.
I think the ones that they've already shown off are like something about the Shadow Isles and then an Echo one. which I think a lot of people are thinking the Shadow Isles is gonna be how the Ruination happened, which is how the Shadow Isles became the Shadow Isles, because before it
Right.
used to be the Blessed Isles. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things a lot of people wanted to know, so that's what people are thinking that might happen. Who knows if it will? Sometimes you gotta let things to kind of be secret still, but
We should probably wrap this up because it's probably.
it's
Don't
only
want.
been 20 minutes.
I know, but
Yeah,
have
you,
other things to do.
yeah.
So
So
but
yeah, it's
we
probably gonna be one of the shorter podcasts, but it's more
Yeah.
like a pilot episode. We'll consider it a pilot podcast.
yeah, but we should wrap this up. Should League make a movie?
Yes.
Yes and no.
Yes. Well, yes. Yeah, you're right. Yes or no. Honestly, I think the path that they should go is animated series, but who knows? Only the future will know, and
Right.
we'll know after Arcane 9 times out of 10 does successful. We'll know after that too. So.
Right. All right.
Anyways,
So,
this has been
that's-
Rex Plays Games, and
Whatever the fuck.
whatever your
Fine.
name is nowadays.
Dark Lord Kenny, Jack Zach.
Yeah,
Dark Lord Duke. Whatever the
yeah,
fuck.
we all go by different names nowadays, but I just kind of stuck with the Rex Plays names. And anyways, that's been the pilot podcast. Hope you all enjoyed. If you have any comments on what you'd maybe like to see us do, or just giving feedback or suggestions on how you like the series, that'd be appreciated in the comments. Anyways, if you like the video, you can go ahead and like. If you want to see more podcasts, we'll probably be doing more, so you can sub for that if you want notifications. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See you all later.